The 2024 presidential election is just months away. As someone who thinks about potentially buying or selling a home, you're probably curious about what effect, if any, elections have on the housing market. Thanks for joining me today. I am Rosa Helen with Intera Real Estate. This is a great question because buying or selling a home is a major decision, and it's natural to wonder how such a major event might impact your plans. Historically, presidential elections have only had a small temporary impact on the housing market. Here's exactly what's happened to home sales and home prices throughout those time periods. During the month of November, in years when the presidential election takes place, there's typically a slight slowdown in home sales. As Ali Wolf, chief economist at Zonda, explains, usually home sales are unchanged compared to a non-election year, with the exception being November. In an election year, November is slower than normal. This is mostly because some people feel uncertain and hesitant about making big decisions during such a pivotal time. However, it's important to know this slowdown is temporary. Historically, home sales bounce back in December and continue to rise the following year. In fact, data from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and the National Association of Realtors, NAR, shows after 9 of the last 11 presidential elections, home sales went up the next year. This graph shows annual home sales going back to 1978 on the left with 2023 on the far right. Each year with a presidential election is noted in blue columns. The year immediately after each election is green if existing home sales rose that year. The two orange bars represent the only years when home sales decreased after an election. What about home prices? Do they drop during election years? Not typically. As residential appraiser and housing analyst Ryan Lundquist puts it, an election year doesn't alter the price trend that is already happening in the market. Home prices are pretty resilient. They generally rise year over year regardless of elections. The latest data from NAR shows after 7 of the last 8 presidential elections, home prices increased the following year. Just like the previous graph, this shows election years in blue. The only year when prices declined after an election is in orange. That was during the housing market crash in 2009, which was far from a typical year. Today's market is different than it was back then. All the green bars represent when prices rose the following year. So, if you're worried about your home losing value because of an election, you can rest easy knowing prices rise after most presidential elections. So what's the big takeaway here? While presidential elections do have some impact on the housing market, the effects are usually small and temporary. For most buyers and sellers, elections don't have a major impact on their plans. While it's natural to feel a bit uncertain during an election year, history shows the housing market remains strong and resilient. If you need help navigating our market, let's connect soon so I can walk you through our normal summer market changes. Thanks for being here with me today. I am Rosa Helen, offering you peace of mind in all your real estate needs.